Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. There has been a horrific incident that has shocked Hubali, and the daughter of a Congress councillor was stabbed to death on the campus of her college. The accused, who fled from the scene of the crime, initially was arrested by the police. Her father has said that the motive of the murder was that the victim had rejected the accused love proposals several times. An FIR has been registered in the case and the accused has also been sent to judicial custody. Now, amidst this incident that has taken place, there are political parties that are trying to politicize this entire matter. On one hand, the BJP has been claiming that this is a case of love jihad and attacking the Congress government over this. On the other side, it is the Congress and its chief minister in Karnataka who is denying the charge of love jihad. There has been a police investigation that has been started, but the question remains whether the police investigation is going to be free and fair and get to the root of this case, of this murder, or are there going to be political forces at play that will try to bury this case simply because this is the election season? Karnataka will see elections taking place on April 26, and it doesn't look good for the government of Karnataka led by the Congress to have a rap sheet where a case of quote-unquote love jihad, where a Muslim man has stabbed to death a Hindu girl and has fled away simply because the girl refused to entertain his advances. I'm going to start my conversation. Joining me on the telecast is Brinda Adige. Brinda, quickly a response from you. And my question over here is not that the BJP is accusing this to be love jihad, the Congress is denying the accusations of love jihad, but bringing back the focus of the story that a girl has been killed brutally. There is a man who had escaped. He is in judicial custody. Probe needs to be initiated and stringent action be taken against the accused. Can you hear me, Brinda?
Yes, now I can. You were not loud enough. Can you please repeat?
My question over here, that while there is very blatant politicization that is taking place, we see that the BJP is claiming it to be love jihad and attacking the Congress. There are protests of the Lingayat seals that is taking place in Hubali, where we have the Chief Minister of Karnataka coming out and making a statement denying that this is love jihad. There is a police investigation that is required at this point of time. There is a speedy justice that is required. The focus needs to be brought back to this heinous crime that has taken place, that a girl has been killed. She has been stabbed to death. And this incident has taken place in a campus, and this man who had fled has finally, thankfully, been arrested. But will justice prevail for the family of the girl who have lost their child?
You're absolutely right. Justice must prevail. There is no other option because we are looking at so many issues, especially of women who are being murdered by jilted lovers. Now, giving an angle of love jihad, I'm not going to go into something like that. This is a case of gender-based violence where the girl rejected or put an end to the relationship, and this fellow could not take it. And he went in and murdered her. Now, the college administration must also be booked because it was an exam day and they have not checked anybody. They should check the person as well as the bags that are going inside the college on that particular day. So it is the job of the police to ensure that an investigation is done in a proper manner where all culprits and even those who abetted or abetted indirectly must be booked. Now, the next question is, this is not the first case. We've had several such cases in the past in Bangalore and in Karnataka also. What are the courts doing? Why do they take so many years to come to some kind of a conclusion? And at the end of it, we see a very patriarchal outlook from the justice system also, because they always term it as crimes of passion. and the perpetrator, the murderer, gets away. That's unacceptable.
Okay.
Because there should be certain punishment. If there is no certain punishment, then there is no rule of law. And if there is no rule of law, there's no fear of law. And so, if there is no fear of law, where is the justice? So, women will get murdered because jilted lovers can't accept their egos, their toxic masculinity doesn't accept all these things.
Yeah.
And the woman gets no justice. So, we need to hold all of these people accountable.
Absolutely right, ma'am. Sanjay Sahai is a former IPS officer from Bengaluru. And Mr. Sahai, a situation such as this, where it has the tendency to blow up because it is the political season, because of the fact that there is a Hindu girl and a Muslim man involved, where the murder has taken place, speedy justice investigation is required from the police. Now, amidst the election season, like I said, is being played out, do you think it also becomes difficult for the police to carry on with their independent inquiries and investigations and get pressure from the authorities to turn in a certain way in cases like these?
Yeah, see, these seasons will come and go, and allegations will be put all around the place depending on political inclinations, considerations, and variety of things. I, being a professional police officer, I would rather restrict to the case itself. This is a very, very heinous case, and what I would like to bring to the notice of the audience is that predictability in police investigation and also the quality of investigation that will make the turnaround. All that is being plastered all over the media will die down in a day or two. So the quality of investigation is what is important. We'll start with how the genesis of this case of a jilted lover, as Brinda was talking about. And it was a known case, and this fellow made overtures earlier, and around 6 months back, even the parents chided this guy not to get into any sort of interaction with this girl. And this seems to be a very, very premeditated murder from the angle that he knows when she's coming after, I think she was on a medical leave, and what time the exam will happen and which way it will happen. And necessarily what is happening is that a full fail-safe security is something which we imagine of, but is not put on our campuses. And today being exam or whatever the case might be, if we are able to smuggle in weapons inside an academic campus, it is certainly a matter of concern. So that's point number one. Point number two is the quality of investigation and the way police has reacted so far. I'm convinced of the fact that they will go in the right direction. This incident should not have happened. That all of us agree. It's been a ghastly incident. But the accused, as per the newspaper reports, getting booked in a very short period of time, getting arrested in a short period of time, remanded to judicial custody. So they have all the time and the energy now to focus on this case.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
But sir, but I want to again pointedly ask this question, because the communal color that is being given to this particular murder that has taken place, political season, election season right now, it is right now a tussle between the Congress and the BJP. And will this perhaps going to curtail the police investigation? Simply because there are pressures that are being applied by authorities higher up. Is there a possibility? And if such is the possibility, there is a plausibility of it, then what happens to the justice that needs to be provided to the family?
See, the nature of case as it stands, going by the evidence, even video footage, if I know it correctly, the availability of this nature of evidence, circumstantial evidence, the story which comes into the picture and the premeditation of that, I don't think any professional police organization or investigating agency will even have the leeway not to investigate it, but for in the right manner. Because there is also a judicial process, and the time a FIR is registered, the FIR goes to the court, and today it goes online in split seconds or in a couple of minutes, and it is also monitored by the court, and there is a timeline for investigation.
Okay.
Now, there is also a digital component today where it can very easily be proven that everything fits in place. So I hope and I think that would be a reality when a watertight case would be put on without getting into whatever communal colors we are talking about. And any investigation of this nature, to best of my knowledge and my experience around 31, 32 years, most of the professional people don't get into any of these things which you are talking about, and we are accustomed to handling this sort of a pressure. If we don't have the
Okay.
capability to handle this sort of a pressure, we cannot stand as investigating officers. So that's point number one. And point number two, I'll put it on to the judicial process, wherein if your case is watertight and we have the capability to fight it out in the court of law, might we even hire lawyers who are outside of our prosecution process, who can be private lawyers who will battle it out with whatever investigation has been done. I think there are very fair chances, or there are very bright chances that this case finally ends in a
Okay.
conviction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shram Shravish Ren on the telecast with me. Ms. Ren, quickly a response from you about the situation that has escalated very fast. And it has, do you think the case has been diluted amidst the political slugfest that is being played out today between the Congress and the BJP? Then there are the Lingayats, and then there are the Veerashevas. They're all coming out and protesting. Is this then the right pressure that is being put on the authorities, on the police and the law and order agencies to act swiftly to ensure that justice is given to the family members? And what are the legal recourse that the family can take in a situation such as this? This is not the first time a case like this has appeared in the media. There have in fact been several of them from several parts of the country.
Yeah, so in this matter, it clearly looks that that the political parties are actually painting it into a religious black and white color. It's not Hindu and Muslim. It's not a Hindu girl who was killed by a Muslim boy. It's a girl who was killed by a boy. That's it. So yes, as Miss Brinda said, that femicide is happening day in and day out. It's happening all over the world that a specific gender is being killed just because of that person being of that specific gender. So even in this case also, as Mr. Sanjay said, that the police knows what they want to do. The investigating agency knows what they want to do. And since they know that this kind of pressure keeps on coming in, and especially at the time of the elections, this will happen. It will be painted into Hindu and Muslim thing. So they know that they have to look beyond all of that. It is a simple murder wherein a boy who was who was not able to take it and then killed a girl. It's not Hindu and Muslim. It's not a love jihad. Firstly, because why I am saying this is that you might have seen few days back also that in Delhi, in broad daylight, a boy picked up a huge stone and killed a girl, and that was because the boy and the girl both were Hindu, so it was just termed as a Hindu girl. A girl was killed by a boy, but because of the elections, it is being termed as a Hindu Muslim thing. But no, it's a normal murder. He was a first time offender. Of course, he has the judiciary would see that what all has happened in this matter, what the story. It's a normal case. If you say that there should be a speedy trial, since according to me, it might not fall under rarest of rare cases. So that's why the speedy trial might not happen in this matter. But yes, the agency would be seeing at all the cameras and everything, and of course, since it's there in the news that it was caught on the phone's camera also that this person has killed her, stabbed her 10 times and everything. So the judgment will actually come out in the favor of the girl's family. But terming it as if it is a love jihad, that is a very wrong way for the media to show it in the media.
Okay. Shekhar Vijayan, what is your opinion? Now, reporting the case factually versus the communal color that is being given by political parties. Now, in a situation such as this, we can't predict without an investigation happening that whether it is a case of love jihad, whether it was just a boy who was jilted because his advances were not being entertained by this girl and therefore in a fit of rage he has killed her. Can the investigation be hampered in a politically charged season which is being seen across the country and particularly in Karnataka today?
Megha, thank you for having me over. I think more than anything else, I think what it boils down to is a murder is a murder is a murder. I think this murder has no religion. And we have seen this happening all across India. It's not just Karnataka. It's happened all across India in the last couple of years. What I fail to understand is how are these campuses becoming the new breeding ground for murders? Like, how is it somebody can just come in and hack somebody to death? And these are all young lives we are talking about. And I was reading the report. We see a lot of outrage in public life. A lot of students are forming human chains. So this is, at the end of the day, human life has no value. It does look like that. If this would have happened with a politician, or it would have happened with somebody who's more influential, I think swift action would have been taken. I'm not saying swift action has not been taken, but I think what is really important here is law and order. What is really important here is not color this with religion, not color this with elections, but make sure swift action is taken. What I think what really happens here is if swift action is not taken, people get even more encouraged to do even more actions like this. And I was reading about this. This is deplorable. It's a heinous crime, and this requires swift action. And I'm saying swift action, even capital punishment should be something which should be adhered to. And I still fail to understand how can somebody just come into a campus? How can just somebody come into a campus, carry something like this, and kill a person multiple times, and nothing is done about it?
The fact that it has not happened for the first time, it's the same modus operandi, and I have debated this case several times in the past, where the girl and the boy are of different identities, but the same modus operandi, the same attack, it is the same story narrated time and again. The girl has not entertained the boy's advances. The boy is angry, upset. He decides to kill the girl. How do we tackle this? This is, like Brinda said, it is a crime against women. This is a crime against women by men with their inflated egos who cannot take a rejection.
Yes.
You're absolutely right, because men somehow feel that they must show that machoism, that masculinity. And if that is hurt, then they have to show in violence. This is a clear case of gender-based violence. And this is not the importance that the judiciary gives, nor even the government. We talk about protection, but we place the burden of protection or protecting oneself on the women. Somebody in another channel was saying, oh, she should have known a little bit of self-defense and she should have, tried to defend herself. You are in a shock. You know this person for some time. You have been his friend, and then you said, no, I don't want to be your friend anymore. But then the friend walks up and says, hi. You just turn around and say, hi. You do not expect that person to throw all that toxic masculinity on you. And if you see that video, you also see that there are two bystanders. And those bystanders, 4-5 seconds, just stood and watched. No, they didn't shout, they didn't scream, they didn't run towards that place, towards that girl. If they had done, probably that fellow would have got a little scared and ran away and would not have been able to stab her so many times. So we want to look at this entire system and this culture of mute spectator and indifference. So the society will have to take the responsibility, but I will continue to place the larger part of the responsibility on the government agencies.
Okay.
Not the police as much as the judiciary, because they have not been able to show that there is certain punishment for crimes of this nature. Brutal, heinous crimes.
Yeah. Sanjay Sai, your response over here. Do you also, officers like you do also feel the frustration while the investigation carries forward? You are able to catch the culprit, you have the evidence, but because of the slower judicial process and the loopholes that the culprits and their counsels find, that they are let go of easily.
See, most of the cases of this nature, though there is a delay in the judicial process, ends up in conviction. That is what has been my experience. On the point which we are talking about, how do we get rid of it or bring down this nature of crime to a considerable degree, the gender issue remains intact as it was 10, 20 years back. But the issue is, why don't we have a structured grievance redressal system on campuses? Why, when the parents objected to this guy interacting with her or making overtures, there was no complaint to the college authorities? And if it were, what has happened to it? So this counseling part is missing. The interface of these campuses or these university administration or college and school administration with the police at a more dynamic, real-time level, that itself is missing. And leave aside the bystanders, there are any number of cases where people in authority, at least authority on that campus, also respond in a very, very indifferent manner. And the way the student is to react in the situation of this nature, and might be, if those two guys would have reacted, the story would have been totally different today. So our response to incidents of this nature also has to change. So there are a couple of very hard decisions which need to be taken. And there's earlier a time when we did not bother about metal detectors, we did not bother about X-rays and all sorts of stuff. Now I think the time it has to come to campuses if you have to maintain the campuses in a sane and a very, very predictable manner. And last but not the least, the predictability of punishment. I think that is the most important element in the criminal justice system. If the timeline and the predictability both are fine of the investigation, judicial process, and the action being taken, I think that sorts out the issue to a considerable degree, notwithstanding what the ecosystem provides or does not provide.
Mr. Jain, I'm going to come back to you, and I'm going to quickly take a look in the past incidents that have happened which are of similar nature. And there have been several times pointed out by the law and order authorities that there have been cases of love jihad, that there have been women that have been killed or coerced into getting married and then ill-treated and harassed. Would it be correct to, at this point of time, an initial investigation that has started off, to completely keep aside or brush away the possibility of it being a case of love jihad? Yes, it is a case against, it is a gender-based violence that has taken place. A woman has been killed, but also on top of it, the possibility of a love jihad that could have happened in such a situation cannot really be ruled out.
No, I won't take it as if it is a love jihad thing. Let us start it from here, that the generation now we have, they have so much of peer pressure that if you are not drinking at the age of 14, oh, you are not good for you being in a team. If you don't have a girlfriend, you are not good as a boy. If you are not having sex, you are not good enough. That is the kind of peer pressure the society has created on these kids nowadays. So looking at all of this, when I see all of such kind of a matter, I would say that now it should actually become mandatory to have counseling in schools, in the colleges, at all levels, starting from your 5th or 6th standard. Every month or every week, there should be a counseling wherein you tell them about gender equality laws, so that everyone knows that this is how it is. You have to understand that there is something said no, and that should be taken care of.
Okay.
So every time if we keep on brushing it as if it is love jihad, no, it's not. It's not an organized crime. Ki bhai, let's plan and let's kill these girls and all. No, that's not happening here in India. You might have seen it at some certain sections there, but no, it's not the case everywhere. It's not organized crime. It's just young boys and girls falling in love. They have this crush and they are not able to take the rejection.
Okay.
So as a society, we all have to understand now it's time to end that Hindu-Muslim sign. But now it's time for all of us to work together towards creating a society wherein the kids do not feel the peer pressure on them. Otherwise,
Shekhar,
wait for next
Shekhar, coming to you now. Is there a definitive way of recognizing a case to be a case of love jihad, versus a crime of passion or a crime against a woman?
I think the bigger issue here is Megha here is like what ma'am was mentioning earlier. I think I'm a coach, and a lot of people, I ask them what are your areas of development. The youngsters today, they all tell me anger management. They're not able to manage the anger. We're dealing with a bigger issue here, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, what we have seen, Megha, is this issue has happened all across India, across religions, across different parts of India. I think the bigger issue here is why is this happening, first of all, and the second thing is if this is love jihad or if it's organized crime, there is a basic plan in place. How do we just get into a college? How do you just get in and kill people like this so mercilessly? That's the bigger question, and I think that's where law and order is important. And we also know their hands are tied. It's not easy. It has to be a cooperation from both sides in terms of counseling, in terms of educating these youngsters of today that peer pressure is just not done. I think what's really happening
But I don't think this can be bracketed as youth not being able to manage their anger. As Brinda Adige and my other panelists said, that this is a matter where a woman is being harassed, then she has been killed because a man cannot take the rejection. This is not just a matter of youth. This is not just a matter of a young boy who can't handle the situation. Such similar situations are seen amongst men of all ages, across all communities, across all the people of the world, of different countries, of different regions, of different religions. So that's a point. That's a point that needs to be reflected here.
Absolutely, Megha, but you understand one very important point here. I think it also boils down to the fact that how important is education here, and also how important is how we managing situations like this. Thanks to your channel, I think all these cases are being reported. Now, I was reading the report. There is so much of public outcry around this. People are forming human chains for that. That means people get to know about these heinous crimes. But the point is, why is it happening and how is it happening? Yes, anger management is an issue, and we might be taking it very lightly right now, but we will have the situation in the next few years. I think emotional intelligence is also equally important. Counseling is equally important, but also these crimes, how are they happening? How can somebody who's a friend just come and kill somebody like that? That's what beats me.
Okay. Sanjay, you wanted to make a point?
Yeah, so I'm not getting into the sociological and psychological part of it, though those also get conversed in what I'm talking about. So let's have a clear-cut blueprint from a governmental point of view. You have a policy or a program which might be mandated by law or mandated by an executive order of the government. So number one, this will be the security mechanism on a campus with this number of students, this area, whatever. So that's point number one. Point two, there is a clear-cut grievance redressal mechanism with counselors and variety of other people, which has an interface with law enforcement, investigative agencies, and even counseling centers of the government and of the department. And third is a massive education dissemination campaign where the rights, responsibilities of students, where they can go. I think there is a complete disjointed system today of even if you talk of love jihad or criminal law and the way the kids are growing up. Because this society today in the digital age is a transition of a totally different type. So we are not ready to accept that. When becomes...
But I also, I'm again going to put out, yes, this is a matter where the youth at this point of time need to be more cultivated and more civilized. But this is a larger problem where women are being harassed, they are being targeted, they are being killed across all age groups, across all countries, across all religions and communities. And that's a larger issue. That is the issue about the mindset that is created right from the time a child is born to the time he dies. So that's a larger issue at concern. Yes, there are practical points that you've mentioned, Sanjay Sahai, that need to be taken by the college authorities in conjunction with the law and order agencies, which will help curtail these crimes to a large extent. I'm out of time. I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast. And on that note, I slip into a short break. Thanks for watching.